What's up, guys? Brian Muka and Magdalena here, and we're talking about crucial conversations as it pertains to flow state and working through triggers. So, Magdalena and I have the distinct pleasure in our friendship of triggering each other. And I think it's really significant the work that she's done, the work that I've done, so that when crucial conversations come up, we're able to work through them. And the so what of this is the triggers are my responsibility, but having people that care about me to help me see my triggers and know that they point to trauma. If I release the trauma, I'm actually releasing the brakes of how our team can work together. And we had a fun way of working through that stuff today. So that's what we're up to this afternoon on everything.
Yes, we sure did, and we'd love to talk about it.
So I thought this was really significant, right? So there's this idea of how valuable like really good communication is. And a lot of this I learned from the gene keys, specifically the Venus sequence. So you've heard the old adage, I can either be in love or I can be right. This applies to being in appreciation too. So instead of love languages, we're actually talking about the language of appreciation in the workplace. So Magdalene and I and Dr. Jake, we work together, Flow State Studio. And I think that crucial conversation, like, hey, can we talk? Creates so much like anxiety in me. And there's frameworks that I want to share with you around like how to work through that, how to be in a calm nervous system to be able to like work through these past traumas that may or may not be conscious. And the whole so what of that is in the relationships you really care about. How do we use the friction to actually move us forward? Because every airplane taking off has friction of the wind to create lift. So that's the kind of friction that we're talking about. The kind of friction that actually brings us together by remembering more of who I am and letting go of more of the brakes that's keeping me from the Brian Muka statue that's in here. I just got to chip away everything that isn't. So
Yes. So while you were talking, what came up for me is that triggers are such great opportunities to heal, but it's not even heal. It's like reintegrate another part of yourself within yourself to like allow, maybe we can call it the shadow self, to like come to light and to be loved and to be held and then to be released or to be transmuted, alchemized. So triggers are actually kind of cool. They're fun when you can approach them from that perspective of like, I get to up level myself and I get to become more of who I am, which is exactly what Brian was saying. And then also, so the trigger isn't ever about the other person. It's about the person feeling the trigger.
mm,
So in this case, earlier this morning, I was feeling triggered by Brian, but it wasn't just him that was triggering me. It was other situations similar to what he was bringing up for me that were also triggering me because there was a specific theme inside of me that wanted to come up and be released. And with
mm.
Brian's attunement to me, he realized like, hey, maybe like, what do you want right now? What do you need? Rather than we met up originally to discuss the next project we're working on with Flow State,
We didn't do that
which
at all. We did something completely
we keep
different.
trying to do, but every time we have it scheduled, both him and I are in a flow state. He's doing his own flow work
Yeah,
and I'm doing my own flow work. Yeah, go ahead.
we had an intention to do particular work, but that if we did that work, it would have came from the courage and fear, power, frequency, right? And so we knew that we needed to clear the turbulence in our friendship, our working relationship, and that when we are finally in a joint flow state, we're going to be able to accomplish a lot more because we're in the right energy together instead of like pretending or masking or armoring our way through whatever the calendar told me I should be doing right at this second.
Totally. And also, what was needed in that moment was actually there was an energy that really wanted to come up and out. Go ahead.
I just want to go
Yeah,
back,
sure.
right? So here's how this happened. Magdalena sent me a 3-minute voice message last night. It was thoughtful and she was excited. And I know that the feminine wants to be seen and cherished. Friendships, romantic relationships, whatever, right? And I didn't do that. And if I zoom back and own my side of the street, our side, I've been hard after these AI agents and efficiencies and videos, right? So like the end goal I have in mind, and was focused on that yesterday. And what I need to do a better job is like when people message me to acknowledge and honor what that is. I don't have a good way to do that just yet, right? Because it interrupts my flow state, it interrupts my concentration. that wasn't the right time to bring up what's happening for me in what you shared with me earlier today. Like, I would have been wrong to bring up, like, how I felt in that because you can't hear me. I don't feel seen, I don't feel appreciated, I feel abandoned, right?
Right.
So what do we do?
So what did we do? And by the way, okay, I just wanna go back a little bit as well, because I'm very fascinated by this whole getting triggered thing. So it really so yeah, okay, I sent Brian a longer voice note in response to some really cool videos that he had sent me, and I was, like, really excited about it and whatever, and left my comments on it. But I feel like that situation has happened a lot in my life where I would, like, respond to something and I would get nothing in return, or I would be really encouraging of someone and really seeing them and then not getting any responses back. So I realized, like, this isn't about Brian. This is just one situation in my life. It's about this like theme of feeling invisible in my life. Like, not that I always feel that way, but it comes up often enough that it triggers me where it makes me like either frustrated and angry or sad. And today, how I was feeling about it was sad, is that I wasn't feeling seen, but it was bigger than just not being seen in one little conversation. It was that in general, I feel like I have a lot to offer to the world and I have a lot of help to give and I can give a lot of guidance, but I don't feel like I'm being really seen even when it comes to my own business. And
Mm,
that has all of that was welling up at once. So what we did was so Brian first of all was like, "Hey," he tuned into me and was like, "Hey, what do you want right now?" And I was like, "Okay, let me think what I want. What do I need?" And I was like, I just wanna release what's brewing up inside of me." And then he corrected me, not correct, but, like, so his interpretation was even better. He's like, "Actually, maybe you just wanna hold what's showing up for you." And I was like, "Yeah, that resonates. I just wanna hold this feeling in a space of, like, compassion and love." And I did that. And then what came up next was a whole little ceremony that we did that involved him whipping out his drum, doing his like, he sang, he did his Mongolian throat singing. I whipped out my flags and I started dancing. Prior to that, I did some cat cow moves just to move the energy that I was really feeling in my stomach. That's where I was feeling that, like, sense of not being seen. And I felt it was so much fun, you guys. It was like healing work party. Like, there was nothing serious about it. There was nothing like, look at your shadow self. It was like, no, just acknowledge what's coming up and enjoy moving through it and through like your full creative expression. That's what was happening.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool to just presence what's happening. There's nothing to fix
Yeah.
in that, right? There was a part of you that needed to be seen, and I find it really profound in this work with Carl Jung. I don't wanna surgically remove my shadow. I tried that for a long time, and I was really good at it. I developed these spiritual gifts in order to conduct spiritual surgery on myself, and if you go down that route, I can spoiler alert, it's not gonna work. I promise. It isn't until, like, the hurt or for me, the unworthiness comes up, and I feel it, and I can see it, right? So if I go to meet myself, the first thing I'm gonna see, according to Carl Jung, is my shadow, and so, this brought up also for me abandonment. When I was thrown away from the Navy, thrown away from my practice marriage, and just being in that, how that might have felt. And then, like, we were able to just appreciate that. So it wasn't about me versus Magdalena or vice versa. Like, you didn't do this. And there's I read this last night. Uh, the triggers are my responsibility. If I feel triggered, it's me. I get to do work around it. And then I've been surrounding myself and been blessed with people that have done their work too, so that when my trigger triggers them, we're not like in this trigger warfare, you know? And if you find yourself, here's what I found. This is what Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys. The name of this protocol doesn't matter. It could be useful. Um, it's from the Venus sequence. It's the pathway back to love. So this is human design, I Ching. And in the heated emotional moment, whoever is playing the anchor in that, the masculine role, and Magdalene, you were playing the feminine role here in the trigger, it's not the right time for me to share my triggers in that moment. It's my role to hold space. And then a day later or 2 days later, to reflect that back how I felt. Like I wasn't seen in that, right? And so the example that Richard uses is like the dishes, right? So occasionally I forget to wash the dishes. And in the moment when Yael is like, "Hey, you need to do a better job cleaning the kitchen," and upset, and she doesn't get upset. But when it's about the dishes, it's not about the dishes. It's about being unequally yoked. So my role in that is to see and make her felt seen, and the emotions are valid. Even though like I cook most of the meals, and I in the moment, it's not my place to justify all the times that that's not true. And so if I could just like give up on that for 24 hours and a day later or 2 days later, we're like, hey, remember when we had this conversation? That didn't feel fair to me. Now that my little 6-year old feels seen, knows that there's going to be an opportunity for me to feel seen. But if I feel seen while this person's trying to be seen, no one will see each other. Yeah, it's assured mutual destruction. And because I know that dynamic and because I know that dimension, I can hold space for that without pushing my stuff down. It's just I'm delaying it.
That's the thing where you can just recognize when, if you see somebody being triggered, if you can just like hold your own and get grounded and just be the space for them to express themselves rather than get in your ego about it and be like, well, no, you're wrong and I'm right. And hear me out and hear me out. If you can just kind of take a pause and be like, this person needs a little bit of TLC right now, then you can avoid divorces. You can avoid
Yeah.
breaking up business contracts. Like you can avoid major, major conflict. Like, and you can move through it so quickly. Like the way we moved through that situation so quickly as friends and business partners was amazing. Like it turned into something fun. It turned into literally singing and dancing. And then I felt so much lighter and I felt like, you know, just something shifted in me. And then Brian felt better because he got to experience my better energy. So if you can just refrain and take that pause rather than instantly reacting and instantly wanting to prove that you're right and that you also want to be seen in this moment, it can really avoid a lot of big problems and it can make life just more pleasurable. And the more you see, you get most of the time. I'm not going to say it's a guarantee, but with the general public, if you spend time and effort being that space for somebody, they're more likely to be that space for you in return, typically.
And if they're a repeat habitual line crosser in that,
Then leave.
it might be time to go your separate
That's right.
ways.
I was just gonna add the caveat for that.
You always have the opportunity. You're like, I'm not even gonna fight this.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of renunciation. And the villains that I see in my life, I lose the second that I enter into their frame. And my brother, he has a great adage: never argue with an idiot, for they will bring you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Don't get into that. I don't want to get into the mud throwing, and I just opt out. Delay or whatever for me. That's what I'm saying for myself. And I want to highlight one more thing. If I find myself in an argument where the person is saying, you better do this or you better not do that again, if in the heat of an argument, I'm giving out ultimatums, like if you would do this again, it's over, that is a chef's kiss of death for a relationship, whether that's in your business, whether it's your marriage, whether it's a friendship. If I start giving orders and ultimatums, now here's the calling, here's the gift or the acidic level, to quote the I Ching and Richard Rudd. I'm going to control myself. I want to say, look, I'm heated in this. I don't want to share something that I'm going to regret later. I'm going to take a pause. I love you. I can't have this conversation right this second. I own me. That's the only person in that skirmish that I can own is me. And if that other person's like, well, if you walk away right now, I have every right to walk away in this, and just to like not hold that against them in the heat of the battle, right? In the ultimatum and the old patterns, and maybe they learn that from their parents or whatever. Walk away. Find a time when you both can find some coherence. That's what we did.
Mhm.
And we'll talk about the business stuff that we need to talk about at another time.
And also to your point, sometimes we do say things that we later regret in the moment. Sometimes we don't, and we're able to keep our composure and leave and take a walk and take our glass of water to regulate our nervous system. But sometimes we don't. And we do say stuff that we wish we didn't say. So if we can just all be more compassionate toward each other, like I really believe in the power of forgiveness. So if somebody does say something really shitty towards you, but then they come and apologize, have a little bit of compassion and openness and hear them out. Because I've seen people block people out of their lives because they said something that they just simply couldn't get over. But it's like maybe you're doing yourself a disservice because maybe this actually was a great relationship, but because of one thing somebody said that hit really, that triggered you, really.
It's the trigger.
Yeah.
This person's trigger triggered your trigger, right? And it's like, it's not their fault. It is their responsibility, right? Like you get to decide how people talk to you, and I get to decide that too. And so if this person, like, for example, there's an Aries in my life, she can't control her mouth when she's angry. And whatever comes out will be the most hateful, like cut you to the core if it's still a trigger. And if I know in those moments that's just her being reactionary,
Yeah.
it's not about me.
Yeah.
I'm playing the boogeyman in this person, and my role there is to trigger this person so they can see where they are not yet free.
Yeah.
And I used to hate playing that role, and now it's like, what an honor. I'll play the Phantom of the Opera, so this amazing Broadway show can, the person's life can like get the lessons.
And guess what? When you don't take things personally, you set yourself free because then people can do and say whatever and you're untouched. You're like that tree that's like grounded and nothing can really cut it down.
Yes, I find having lived in places where there's royal oak trees and palm trees, the royal oak is cool. It's stately. I want to be the palm tree. I want to be able to bend
Mm.
when the hurricane force winds blow.
Mm.
I get to be more flexible. And in the words of a mentor and a man I really respect, be the water. How can I be more flowy? How can I adopt more of the feminine essence of flow, even when there's rapids?
What's that expression? Let it flow like water on your back. What's the expression?
Oh, the duck's back? Yeah, that's a great model, right? So in the skirmish of the argument, be the duck and just let the words and the stuff trickle away. It's not about you anyway. And then the kicking under the water, like you've got some processing to do. If it is triggering, it just means you have work to do too.
Exactly.
But the level 2 of this, you just take a pause. 2 people in a trigger turns into a skirmish or war. So, show me my triggers. Show me where I'm not yet free. Magdalena, thank you for showing me my triggers. And we got to release this today by laughing, dancing, and singing.
LSD.
LSD. It's a hell of a drug for all that ails
It's
you.
really great. Makes you feel really
That's
elevated.
it. Well, thanks, guys, for spending some time with us today. Saturday, Flow State Saturday, 2 p.m. on Saturday,
Eastern time.
Eastern. And reach out. Let us know how we can serve you better in terms of enjoying more flow and taking more of the breaks off.
And if you have any questions about flow and communication or anything that we just discussed today, feel free to comment or message us as well.
We'll welcome that. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.